Hello, everybody. Welcome to Political Football. This will be the Eastern Division Review Show. We're part of the Matty Ice Media Network. I'm joined here by Scott. Scott, how are you doing this week?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I know this is one of your favorite weeks. I don't want to get into it too much right now, but can you give me just a couple quick thoughts on the combine, what you liked, what you saw, what was exciting, all that?
Well, it was a strange combine because normally you have like receivers, at least for the last group of years, the receiver groups have just been ridiculous. And outside of a player who's like I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is almost combine proof. Like you don't really need. There's nothing he could do there, other than run like crazy fast. But that's not his game anyway. He's incredible, right? But we're used to seeing lots of 4.3s with receivers and lots of super fast stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't see a bunch of that. I thought some of the running backs looked good. Again, sort of a position that's not as valued so much, but I thought CJ Stroud looked his workout was phenomenal. And one of the things it's something that not that you're taught, but it's something everybody talks about. You go to the Senior Bowl and you're not really looking for on that first day or really even throughout the week, you're not looking for like pinpoint accuracy stuff between the quarterbacks and the receivers just because they've never played with each other. So there's a rapport that you got to build. But what does stand out is the anticipation in which a player throws with. And Stroud's anticipatory throwing is just ridiculous. He's an incredibly accurate thrower of the football. He always has been. So, I thought his workout was incredible. He didn't do anything other than throw, but he doesn't need to necessarily do anything else. But you know what I mean? So just the accuracy in which he displayed, he was great.
So I actually have a pushback on that for Stroud, not for not for most of what you said. He was right, throws the ball, great, whatever. We saw in the Michigan and Georgia games this year that Stroud can run. He doesn't run because Ohio State typically wins their games 9-0
Yeah. Well, we saw Northwestern too. We got to keep that one in there because that one's a relevant game.
Yes. And so, I think he has it in him. And when you see him run, there's no question he could, outrun some NFL defensive players and whatever. I think his scrambling and rushing is going to be he won't be Lamar Jackson by any means, but I think he's going to be perfectly fine.
Well, I mean, he can physically do it. It's just, is it in his comfort zone to do it? And it's still to be determined, but that's not his game.
Right.
So, I think there are places where he could end up that are great places for him. And there are places where it could be a little bit of a rocky start. I think he'll be a fine NFL quarterback. He should be. There's nothing that really gets in his way, But to be honest, I wouldn't have run if I was him either. After Richardson ran,
no,
it's kind of like the Bryce Young plan. I hope everybody sees through what Bryce Young did. I'm going to weigh 204. I'm filled with 18 pounds of water.
Yeah, quarters of the pockets.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna at the Alabama Pro Day I won't weigh, but I'll do everything then, and he'll probably be like in the about 190 pounds then, and
I think we see a lot of that though at the combine. I think we see a lot of people trying to game the system for whatever they need.
Devin Witherspoon's doing it. For
yes. So Trey Palmer, wide receiver from Nebraska, ran a blazing 40. He did the 3-cone. He did all the straight line speed ones and none of the strength ones and none of the leaping ones, right? Because he knows that the speed is what's going to get him drafted. So he just wants to put good speed numbers and that's it. Yep. So there's some of that. Now, one person who didn't game the system was Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida, who, in my opinion, should be the number 1 overall pick. He ran a 4.43 40, and if you watch it, he did not run in a straight line.
He did not. He took it looked a little bit like my golf, when the golf ball leaves my driver face, it turns left. I can't stop it. He turned a little left.
Yeah.
Tom Hamilton did that last year too.
Yeah, and now Richardson, that was his first one. He could have ran a second one.
He should have.
he could have put up a 4.38 probably.
Yeah, I think he could have got real close to 4.4, but in the end, the athletic testing with him was just ridiculous.
Yes, he tested as the most athletic quarterback in the history of the combine, narrowly edging out RG3 and Dante Culpepper.
Yep.
Pretty good.
Just an amazing athlete. So then it's, what is he as a passer? And this is a source of it frustrates me at times that we have these conversations and we have them over and over. Quarterbacks in their first year of starting in college who have been like sub 60% passers, the list is pretty stunning. I mean, it is like an ugly list.
Yeah.
I've got it written down somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it is it's like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Russell Wilson and Matt Stafford and Josh Allen. And there's more. All of this, Lamar Jackson. Not Lamar Jackson, but like all of the studs.
And Chad Henne would be on there too, if not for Braylon Edwards. Like sometimes they get bailed out by the great receiver play.
They do
when they're younger.
Chad Henne was never. We're not going to confuse him with the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I just named like some pretty damn elite quarterbacks who in their first year in college were sub 60% passers. So like I guess it's just the concept that Richardson will never improve as a player because he's 20 and he's a finished player is just maddening to me. But it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. The point I was going to make with Henne is that, well, one, he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. But also he was a 5-star prospect who's an absolute statue. So he's a 5-star prospect simply because of his ability to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And even he would have been under 60% as a true freshman, first-year starter, if not for Braylon Edwards just absolutely balling out of control that year and earning himself a top 10 draft pick. So, yes, I'm with you. The issue, though, is that the age does matter. First-year starters as freshmen or sophomores, whereas Richardson's first-year starting was as a junior. And some of this might be on the coaching staff, but the fact that he did not displace Kyle Trask is, Trask was perfectly fine in college. He was actually pretty good. But if Richardson's supposed to be the first overall pick, you would think that Richardson's the man. Trask, you better transfer to Old Dominion or something.
But I don't. So Anthony Richardson is a redshirt sophomore.
Yes.
I don't know truly that he was at Florida when. I could be wrong.
Yeah, this was Trask's rookie year, right?
No, this is I want to say his second year. I could be totally wrong on this. We probably should Google this.
But then who would
Emory Jones? I think Emory Jones was.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. Okay,
and I think that was some coaching stuff.
Yes. Okay. So, I was wrong, but in a way that makes my point even stronger.
No, it does. Emory Jones is not going to get drafted in the second round.
No. So, why didn't Richardson? No, but Florida has a history. They didn't give the ball to Damian Pierce. They didn't give the ball to Kadarius Toney with the old coaching staff. So there is some weirdness there.
Yeah. So we kind of have to throw out some of the stuff that happened in Florida.
Yeah. But, at Michigan, we're used to like Drew Henson moving aside Tom Brady. So like if Anthony Richardson's that dude, you think you could move aside Emory Jones, right?
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think. Now he did start 4 or 5 games as a redshirt freshman.
Mm-hmm.
He did. So, I don't know that he did much in those games. I don't know if that was an injury situation to the other dude. I don't know what the particulars are there, but it's just more that, the other players I mentioned too also started some games, in half a season or whatever. It just, and their full season as starters, these are all sub 60% passers, completion percentage stuff. Yeah. And, there's some things he has to clean up, obviously, but just relinquishing the concept that he won't work and that he's whatever is, to me, is just like, come on,
Yeah, no, it's absurd. He should be the number 1 overall pick.
So I think that's more destination driven. Like, if we're talking upside, if you're drafting for upside, there's no player you would take over him.
Follow-up question. What else are you drafting for? Especially in the first 10 picks.
So
aren't you trying to drill the Hall of Famers?
Absolutely. You have to be. But I mean, I could see where Bryce Young gives you similar upside. He is a really good polished quarterback. He's just tiny.
Yeah.
If you're a place like if Brad Holmes comes out tomorrow and talks about if the Lions end up with CJ Stroud, right? And the reason why they do it is because they feel like their offensive line is so good that he doesn't need to do all this outside of the structure of play kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I would still dislike it because I think there are just, there are a lot of similarities to what you currently have. Yeah. But if he goes to, let's say Richardson or Stroud ends up in Las Vegas or Atlanta or Carolina, where you might be dealing with some pressure, then you're going to have to make stuff happen. Right. But maybe not so much in Detroit.
Speaking of high upside players, Jake has a question here. He goes, Darnell Washington looked great. Is that a first rounder, first tight end off the board? So Darnell Washington is 6'7", 267. He ran a 4.67 40. And they showed the tight ends pushing the blocking sled, and they all seemed to struggle a little bit, except for Darnell Washington, who basically picked it up and walked down the field.
So here's the deal with it, and it's funny you bring that up, Dave, because that was the most impressive thing he did. I know he ran fast, and I know the one agility test he did was just ridiculous, which I did not see coming at all. The stopwatch had to have failed when he did that test. But the core strength on display for him to be able to take the big, long strides he was taking as he's moving the sled and then have the sled not turn. Like where a lot of the other guys, either they moved the sled a few yards and stopped, or the sled turned. And the sled turns because you don't have the core strength to hold the sled straight as you're lifting a foot off the ground. And he was doing it, but taking these really long strides. And it's just like, that is just functional power for days with him. Yeah, he should be a first round pick. The reason why he should be a first round pick is because he's going to come in and be a high level blocker immediately. And even if he takes the normal tight end route of it taking a little time to be super effective as a pass catcher, he still is like an extra tackle for you. So, I mean, I think he is. I can understand why some teams might not want to take a tight end in round one, even though the past failures shouldn't dictate making a really smart pick in the future. But I'm not going to argue with Lions fans about tight ends or quarterbacks. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah. The Lions, bad teams should not take tight ends in the first round, or mediocre teams. A team that I think would be great for Darnell Washington is the Eagles at 30th.
That would be great. I could see
Cincinnati Bengals. Bunch of 12 personnel, Washington, Goddard, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, whatever running back they get. And
good luck defenses.
Right.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good fit there. So we'll talk more about the prospects as we get into the draft preview sort of stuff. If you like what you're hearing here, be sure to follow Scott on Twitter. He's always firing out these interesting nuggets like that, and links to other places where he discusses the draft, sometimes with the Detroit Lions focus. But honestly, I even like listening to team specific podcasts for other teams for the draft, just to get a sense of what they're doing. Yeah. So even for non-Lions fans, listening about what the Lions are thinking, especially with 2 picks in the first round, could just help you get a sense of the board for wherever your team is drafting. Okay, so before we get into the division previews, we do have a couple things we have to touch on. In reverse order of importance, to my mind, number one, Derek Carr signs with the Saints. 4 years, $150 million, $100 million guaranteed. To me, this makes the Saints now a solid favorite in the NFC South, but there's a lot of offseason to go.
Yeah.
But as of right now, the Saints made the first move, and now they are the team to be chasing in the NFC South. What did you think of that deal?
Well, I mean, it's a good deal. It's fine. It's the price of, paying a middling quarterback, which is insane. I think it's a great thing for Juwan Johnson and Chris Olave.
Those guys great are for Olave.
Yeah, it is. And Juwan Johnson, too. I mean, I've always thought of him as like Darren Waller, right? So to me, that's what I see when he plays, when I watch him play. Mm-hmm. I think it's a smart signing by them. I don't know what they're going to do with their cap situation. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they like. I know we did this last week, but I don't remember it. What their draft, like how many picks they have, and that kind of stuff. But Derek Carr is a fine quarterback. It's a lot of money, but if you're a reasonable quarterback, you're going to get paid a lot of money.
And that's
Daniel Jones.
Exactly. So we got Danny Dimes re-signs with the New York Giants, 4 years, $160 million deal, $94 million guaranteed. So while it's $10 million more than Carr, it's $6 million less in guarantees. So give me Carr's deal first and foremost.
So are we viewing that as like a 3-year, $94 million deal with the option to move away at that point?
Yes, because I think they said like 92 of it's in the first 2 years or something.
82
of it's in the first 2 years.
I saw that for sure.
Yeah.
So I suppose if 82 is in the first 2 years and you only guaranteed 94, you can get away after 2 years.
You could for sure. But my question is, can the Giants compete long-term in the NFC East with Danny Dimes at quarterback up against Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott?
They need to get him weapons. They need to get him some help. I think so, though. I think you have a couple of good tackles there. I know that they tagged Barkley, so you're going to have Barkley for one more year. They have a reasonable defense. Yeah, I think they can. Dallas really needs to figure it out. Dallas really needs to figure it out, and I'm not sure they're gonna.
Yeah. So the thing is that they're the one area where the Giants have a huge lead over the Cowboys is in coaching.
Yes.
Brian Daboll is
I would even say
coach.
And ownering too.
Yes, but I think those are related. I think Jerry Jones has to keep hiring these like brain dead coaches because like a real coach won't put up with this nonsense. And
the whole GM concept, like who are you taking? Who are you drafting? What are you doing?
Yeah. And so, while I think the Cowboys as a team, and they're going to lose Dalton Schultz, I think, in free agency.
Yeah.
But CeeDee Lamb is better than any receiver the Giants have or could possibly add this year.
Yep.
Tony Pollard and Saquon Barkley is a push. Close.
Sure.
Right? Close.
What if DeAndre Hopkins ends up in New York for 2 or 3 years?
It's his age 32 season this year?
I don't know.
I'm not. I mean, Nuke is great. Don't get me wrong. He'd be a lot better than the shambling corpse of Kenny Galladay. But I don't really think that really does it. There's nobody available yet, either as a free agent or who's being talked about to be traded like Nuke that is as good as CeeDee Lamb. Right. The top free agents are like Alan Lazard, Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. There's CeeDee Lamb's awesome.
Yes. The Giants,
phenomenal receiver.
Right. The Giants have a good defense. They don't have anybody as good as Micah Parsons.
No.
Right. So the Cowboys should be well ahead. The Eagles, obviously. The Eagles are a complete team for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
The Cowboys should be ahead. After this year, we're going to get to this, but after this year, they're going to have a new coach, most likely.
Yeah.
And so if they hire the right coach with this team, they could easily leapfrog a team with Danny Dimes. That's the only thing I'm concerned about with the Giants for that. But unless they're going to make a huge splash, try to make a move for Lamar or something like that, which we're about to talk about, I think re-signing Dimes is probably the right thing to do.
For where they are, I think it is too. And I honestly, if the Cowboys don't give Dak some help, they're in trouble. They just are. I mean, CeeDee's awesome. He's a really good receiver. But, Pollard's a great football player, and you tagged him. But the Zeke Elliott contract is just an albatross to them.
Especially because they made him get rid of Amari Cooper.
Yeah. So, I mean, and this is the problem, is that if the Cowboys aren't stumbling into like Jackson Smith and Jigba, who'd be perfect there, I don't know who you're going to get. I mean, Quentin Johnston's going to be long gone. Who are you getting in the draft?
Also, I don't think Quentin Johnston might be that good.
He may not be, but he's a big physical presence. And he's just somebody that Dak would make work. But that's the thing, is that you need to get Dak working, and he has not for the last couple of years. He doesn't look like the same guy.
Yeah. And we'll get to the Cowboys here later in the show and like their draft class and stuff like that to discuss some of the things they can do going forward. Now, the big news today, the huge news today, especially here, because while I do live right outside Washington, D.C., the city of Baltimore is only 26 miles away. So it's all kind of everything all at once here. Lamar Jackson was hit with the franchise tag. The Ravens gave him the non-exclusive franchise tag, which means they're going to pay him $32 million this year. But more importantly, that means that other teams can negotiate with Lamar Jackson. And if he signs with another team, the Ravens either have to match that offer or they will get 2 first-round picks from that team.
Yes, and they have to be their original. So a team that is making an offer has to have their original picks either in if it's pre-draft, it has to be your original picks in 2023 and 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say the Lions did it. They would be giving up pick 18 and their 2024 first. They would be keeping pick 6.
Right.
Because it's not their original. Or if it's after the draft, you'd have to have your original picks in 2024 and 2025. So, but to me, it seems like it's such a cheap price to pay for.
Well, yes. And so I was going to say, especially compared to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson got that huge contract, $250 million fully guaranteed, broke the market. That's what's leading to all this consternation. But the top of that, they had to trade 3 first-round picks to get him.
Yes.
So this is part of what's driving me so crazy about the Ravens. Like, if you pay him the exact same contract that Watson got, you're still saving 3 first-round picks.
Yeah,
so you're getting a steal.
I don't think Baltimore has any interest in keeping Lamar Jackson. I really don't. And I think that
okay.
I know that maybe that sounds a little nuts, but you have opened the door for him to negotiate with other teams. The price that you're paying, that other teams have to pay, is, you just showed it, is literally it's 1/3 off from what Deshaun Watson got.
Yeah.
Right. And it just seems like this is a way for them to save a little bit of face and to just kind of move away from him. But there's also something else that happened that makes me think that that's what's happening. The comments from Eric DeCosta at the Combine about current players on their roster, specifically the comments about the receivers not being very good, and how Rashad Bateman and others took that and got real pissed about it.
Oh, yeah.
I think, honestly, if you look at the psychology of why somebody would do something like that, that is something that you would do if you really wanted to continue to push your quarterback out the door. And maybe that's just trying to connect too much. But Rashad Bateman's a really good player.
He is.
He was hurt last year. So the issues are not necessarily about whether Rashad Bateman's good or bad. It's more about, Lamar Jackson is obviously miffed about the entire situation and about the guaranteed money and all these things. And you hear the rumblings that he doesn't really want to be there either. But, obviously if you pay him a Watson kind of a contract, then he stays. But I do think that there's an element of, we want to make it seem like things are really bad here because we really don't want Lamar Jackson back here.
So I think that might be a little too much 3D chess for the typical NFL GM. Watching Hard Knocks and whatever, it doesn't strike me as the group of people that's going to think that deeply about things, especially on like a human psychology level.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but because from this action itself, the non-exclusive tag itself, I actually read it the opposite way. I think that the Ravens are convinced that no one will offer Lamar the Deshaun Watson contract. And once he sees that nobody will offer it, now it's like, see, we were always offering you
the
fair, best, top dollar. Now we're going to increase it another 5%.
Yeah.
Sign with us. Right. Like,
if you're colluding with the other owners in the NFL, that is something that you could do.
And the thing is, too, the collusion could be soft because we know every owner besides Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, is extremely pissed off about the Deshaun Watson contract.
Yep.
So
That's fair.
yeah, so you don't even really need to say it. You could just go around the owner meetings and be like, "Hey, aren't you really mad at Jimmy?" You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and
if we look at Daniel Jones getting 160 and whatever Carr got, and Geno Smith getting his 105 million for 3 years,
yep,
it's difficult to see a scenario in which Lamar Jackson shouldn't outpace all of those deals
yes.
significantly. And I don't think the Ravens are willing to even go there.
But I think they're gambling that nobody is. That they're gambling that the Watson contract was an outlier. Nobody else will do it again, and that the offers that come in for Lamar are going to be in line with what the Ravens are offering anyways. So the Ravens can just match the offer or continue to negotiate with Lamar on those terms, being like, look, we are letting the market speak. You are not getting 250 fully guaranteed.
For the most part. Let's dismiss everything I said. I agree with you with what you're saying, because it's like they're allowing everybody else to do the work and present their, hey, this is our completed product. This is what the league thinks of you, Lamar. This is what they're offering. We'll match that, but this is why we've taken the position we have as long as we have.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
That just changes if some team decides, if the Lions decide they want to jump in on this, they should.
They should, but they're not going to.
They're not going to, but I think you can get pretty nice compensation for Jared Goff today. He's 2 years he has 2 years, one at just under 31 million, one at just under 32. He's a bargain for the next 2 years.
Yes.
He is. If the Lions could get a first-round pick for Jared Goff and essentially give up, in the two trades, you'd be giving up pick 18 and next year's first, but you'd be getting one of those back. Would you give up Jared Goff and pick 18 for Lamar Jackson, knowing that you're going to essentially sign those guys to the same kind of deal?
Well, truthfully, all but 10 teams should probably be trying to sign Lamar Jackson. And even then, I was thinking about this on the walk out of the building for work. I would think about if I were Jacksonville, I would seriously think about signing Lamar and flipping Lawrence for the picks I wasn't going to get back. I would really consider it. I don't think I would do it, but I would sit down, make a pros and cons list, talk to my staff. I'd really go through it as Jacksonville, which means the teams that should not be doing it are Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati. Right. There's only a few that really should not.
That shouldn't be doing this. Yeah.
Yes. Now I'm going to go reverse order the chat here. Ben says it's not that complicated. They found a good middle space where they're good whether Lamar stays or goes. I think that's always been the case. They want Lamar for what they think is the right price. They don't want to overpay.
And Lamar wants to be paid market value.
Right. And Lamar thinks his market value is more than the Ravens are offering. So the Ravens are going to gamble and be like, nobody's going to give you what you're looking for, which brings me to Jake's comment here. Jake says, I think the Ravens, who have never really been a desperate team, are really underestimating what desperate teams will do. Carolina, Indy, Atlanta, Houston are thirsty. And he didn't even mention my number one team for this, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. I
think the Raiders.
Well, that's a perfect fit.
And Lamar Jackson is a Raider. Speed, flash.
Yeah.
Right. He fits what the Raiders are all about and have always been about. So I can definitely see the Raiders coming in for him too. Another team that should, but it said they're not going to, at least according to reporting from Dan Rossini, is the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
It really is. And then this is, for me, this will be the last I'll say on it.
Yeah.
If you're the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons, you don't have a quarterback, and you don't bother to pick up the phone to call him to see, we have no idea what his demands are. We don't know. We know his demands with the Ravens were whatever they were. But is he willing to soften that a touch to leave Baltimore? Maybe. So, the idea that the Falcons wouldn't even bother is almost fireable.
Yes.
You don't have a quarterback.
Right.
He is a former MVP. He's 26.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to pay him, but you have tons of space.
and your division is garbage.
Yes.
Like you can turn that around so fast because Lamar, like the Saints are locked into Carr now. Lamar way better. The Bucks, Jimmy G ceiling. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
And then the Panthers, they could draft a rookie, but they have to trade up a lot to get one they want, or they're going to be stuck with Will Levis. Like Lamar just crushes all the way through that division immediately. It's like having Favre and Rodgers in the NFC North all those years.
Yep.
It's a no-brainer for Atlanta to do this. And the fact that they're already ruling it out is nuts.
It's fishy.
Okay. So we are going to transition here into the Eastern Division reviews.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead producing the show while we do the show. Let me get this pulled up here. As always, I've made my
I'm going to be very brief with my commentary this evening.
Well,
probably better for you.
Luckily, when we're talking about the Eastern divisions, there's not a lot that we have to discuss here. So, as you can see, my very professional document that I make. Would you believe this document though does take me like 3 hours a week? It still looks like this.
Yeah, but I mean, he just got there. That's pretty well done.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So,
seriously.
So in the fourth place in the NFC East, we had the Washington Commanders. Apparently, my local team and Cleve's local team, although nobody ever talks about them, unless they're making fun of Dan Snyder. They go 8-1 and finish fourth in the NFC East. If you all recall, there was a stretch where it looked like all four of these teams might make the postseason.
Yeah,
it was possible. The 2022 Vegas win total was 8. Cleve predicted 3 wins, which feels spiritually correct.
I remember when he made that selection, and I somewhat agreed with him.
Yeah, this team won 8 games, but also they sucked.
Yeah,
so
it's not a good football team.
Yeah, so I feel like Cleve was a bit closer there. Now, during the season, they started with Carson Wentz. They went 2-4. They then switched to Taylor Heineke and went 5-3-1. So then, of course, with the season on the line in Week 17, they go back to Wentz, who plays terrible. They lose, season over. And if you remember, Ron Rivera did not know the team could be eliminated that week.
Oh, we're out of the playoffs this week? Well, shit.
Yeah. Had no clue that if the Packers won that week, they'd be eliminated.
Amazing.
Going into the offseason, they have $10 million in cap room. They have the 16th overall pick and 3 in the top 100. Now, for questions, what do they do at the quarterback position? Are they really going to roll with Sam Howell?
I think you have to this year. I mean, unless you're moving, you're coming up for a player like Levis. I think the other players, the other 3 will somewhat be spoken for. Howell can play. He can. Now you need to run with him and give him that component of his game. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for them to play to kind of roll that way.
There's somebody else that the Commanders could go after.
Jimmy Garoppolo?
No. And he might not even need to move houses. Lamar Jackson.
They've already said they're out.
Really?
Yes.
Fireable.
I'm pretty sure Washington has said that they are out. Again, I could be wrong.
Why would you?
I don't know.
You literally need to compete with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's amazing. I'm looking.
All these teams that are out cannot all have plans to get Bryce Young.
I know. There's only so many quarterbacks in the draft.
Right. Houston and Indy are going to get the 2 that they want, which will be some combination of Young, Stroud, and Richardson, which means you're going to be stuck with Levis 50% of the time, and then either most likely Stroud or Richardson.
So Ryan Fowler from the Draft Network. When it comes to the Commanders and Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't hold your breath on us in that race, a source told him. Looks like Washington is on the outside looking in on this one.
The only thing I can think of is that these teams have decided that they kind of know that some other team's going to offer a unicorn contract and they're just never going to do that. So they're not even going to be in it.
Yeah.
That's the only way that can be reasonably interpreted.
Yeah.
Because why else would you not? And even then, I'd still fire an offer at him.
I mean, what's the problem with having a conversation? You don't need to make an offer.
Right.
Hey, are you interested in coming to Washington to play for us? No. Hey, good talk. See ya. I mean, it's like, it's not that complicated to do your job.
Right. Yeah. Well, apparently, Lamar is not coming to the district. Final question for Washington this year: does the entire organization realize that Eric Bieniemy is actually the head coach?
I do not believe that that's the case.
That they realize it, or that he's the head coach?
No, I don't believe that they realize.
Because he's definitely the head coach, right?
He has taken over.
Yeah, Ron Rivera is 100% retiring in the next season, and he's just going to be the coach.
And we'll see what it looks like this year. It has the makings of it being a little bit interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
This feels like we're like the king's younger brother is obviously a much better ruler. And they're like, well, we'd love to get the younger brother on the throne. There's only one way to do that. Sorry, Coach Ron.
Yeah.
So for Washington, they got to settle that quarterback position first and foremost. I guess they could just try Sam Howell and tank for Caleb Williams.
I mean, they could, but Sam Howell was a fine, middle of the road college prospect. He does things really well. He runs the ball extremely well. He has amazing contact balance, so he's very hard to tackle.
I'm not knocking Sam Howell so much as I'm knocking making the decision to roll with Sam Howell in March.
But I mean, if you are one of the teams kind of left holding the bag, what else are you going to do? You're going to bring Teddy Bridgewater in to compete with Sam Howell kind of thing? Like, why would you do that? Why would you? Teddy Bridgewater's not winning you anything. At least Howell has an unknown upside, downside, whatever. It's unknown. You don't know what it is. You don't know what it is until you find it out.
I wonder if the Commanders were undone by the Brock Purdy injury. I wonder if they were all set to fire a second and a fourth for Lance. And now they can't because Lance is going to be the starter in San Francisco again.
Yeah.
All right. Third place team. Oh, sorry. We go the draft. So for the draft for the Commanders, I've almost said their old name like 6 times.
I gotcha.
But I keep catching myself. Because that name is terrible. Yeah. So with the 16th overall pick, they took Jahan Dotson, wide receiver from Penn State, who looks decent. He got hurt.
I think he looks awesome.
Yeah, I still don't like the pick for them. I don't think Jahan Dotson was a good pick in the first round, but he is proving to be better than I thought he was as a prospect. But if you look at some of the picks that went after him, I think they could have been a lot more useful for the Commanders.
Yes, I think as you say that, I liked him a lot more than you did.
You did.
The draft. But regardless, it's all good.
Yep. For Darian Matt, the second round, Brian Robinson Jr., third round, kind of just a guy, but he's useful enough at running back.
Yeah.
Sam Howell in the 5th round, we've touched on him. After that, I don't think any of these people really played. Anybody else on this list besides Dotson and Howell do anything last year?
I want to say Cole Turner may have played.
He did get some snaps. I remember playing him at some showdown on DraftKings, but I don't think he did anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was like a target guy, but
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, third place team in the NFC East, the New York Giants. If you're watching on YouTube, the picture here of Danny Dimes is him falling on the 80-yard run.
Yeah.
When the turf monster got him.
He is remarkably athletic. I will give that to him.
Yes, he is a decent athlete. 9-7-1, third in the NFC East. They lost in the divisional round to the Eagles. That means they had to win the wild card round. They won at Minnesota in the wild card round. 2022 Vegas win total was 7. Cleve said 4 wins. Now this is just a miss for Cleve. The Giants were not terrible.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They came in, 2 over the Vegas total and 5 over Cleve's total. But I thought the Giants were going to be pretty bad this year too. So I can't really knock Cleve too much. I would have been more like the 5 or 6 range, but
this is an example of a well-coached team being able to overcome its limitations.
Yes. So new head coach Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year. The Giants won 9 games while playing with literal dust at wide receiver.
It's true.
They rolled out, as I mentioned, the shambling courts of Kenny Galladay, Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, Richie James, Daniel Bellinger, Lawrence Cager,
Wan'Dale Robinson
for 2 games.
For like 4 plays.
Right. And won 9 games.
Yep.
There are XFL teams with better receiving rooms.
There are.
Yeah, because one has Josh Gordon.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Which, by the way, if you're not watching the XFL, catch a Seattle Sea Dragons game because these Division III corners cannot cover Josh Gordon. It is incredible to watch. He looks like Calvin Johnson out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Saquon came back healthy this year, stayed healthy, and is healthy.
A huge component of their success this year.
Yes.
He just was. And you beat Minnesota on the road in the playoffs.
Yep.
Very impressive win.
Yep. They have $42 million in cap room. Now, this is into the offseason, so I don't know how much of that Dimes just got in his contract. But
it's gone because they tagged Barkley, which is $10.09 million. So cap room gone.
Yeah. So it's $42 million when the offseason started. Draft capital, they have the 25th overall and 4 in the top 100. So they could have a few pulls at wide receiver. Because I have to assume that wide receiver is in the cards for them.
Yeah.
If not multiple times.
Yeah.
Questions for the Giants. How do they proceed with Daniel Jones? Well, we found that out. 4 years, $160 million, long-term deal. How do they process? How do they proceed with Saquon? Found out at the same time. They take Saquon Barkley for this year. Next question is, with a weak wide receiver free agent in draft class, how do they get better at the wide receiver position?
I know you have a rookie, Daniel Bellinger, last year. Is there a tight end who might be in the cards who might help you as a pass catcher?
Yeah, the problem, though, is that we've already seen this from the Ravens, and they're doing it with Mark Andrews, and it still isn't enough.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just roll out your tight end. Your receivers still have to be at least Juju Smith-Schuster or Marquez Valdez-Scantling, right? You have to have
if you have Mahomes,
something.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. You have to have something. And so I don't think, let's say that they go and get Dalton Kincaid, and he's literally Mark Andrews. Well, now they're the Ravens with Dimes instead of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
They need receivers.
They do, and they need a big, outside receiver. Wan'Dale's a slot.
Yep.
You have tight ends. You have Isaiah Hodgins actually looked at times pretty serviceable.
Yeah, I like Isaiah Hodgins as a prospect. I think he's going to stick as a decent number 3, but not your number 1.
No, they need somebody to be their number 1.
Yeah, Richie James is a slot. Darius Slayton is a free agent, but he's not great anyways.
Yeah.
So it's just they're in a weird spot because by 25th, Smith and Jigba will be gone. Quentin Johnson will be gone. They're looking at maybe Zay Flowers, but he's a diminutive. So here's a good question from Ben. He says, with all the talk of replaceabilities of running backs, how does it look putting a franchise tag on one? Well, putting the tag on is part of the reason why they're so replaceable. Now they're going to get 1 more year out of Saquon at a reasonable cost.
Well,
and then let him hit the market.
Thing is Baltimore. They're allowing other teams to negotiate with Saquon.
Oh, yeah. That's the non-exclusive.
Yeah. So, it's just it's a very inefficient way to get production out of that position. Just is.
Yeah. The running back position, you just ride him as much as you can and then let him go, right? The Le'Veon Bell. That's the way to treat running backs now. Draft class for the Giants, solid. So first they had 1 billion picks. So it's good they got a few of them here. 5th overall, Kayvon Thibodeau. 7th overall, Evan Neal. Both smashes.
Yep.
Just well done. Couldn't ask for more out of 2 top 10 picks. Maybe the Jets. We'll get to the Jets. The Jets did better with 2 top 10 picks, but both New York teams killed it this year. 2nd round, Wan'Dale Robinson. Small. I didn't think he was that great of a prospect, but did flash some decent slot receiver ability before tearing his ACL. Should be back for the start of the season.
Yep, he looked good.
Yep. Daniel Bellinger, we mentioned in the 4th round. He looks like at least a serviceable tight end.
I think he's a legit number 1 starting tight end. So what I mean by that is, on the edge of like top 12 producing tight end.
Okay. The rest of the list, nobody jumps out. I thought I saw Micah McFadden pop up for a minute playing linebacker for them, but that's it.
Yep.
But when you just absolutely smash Thibodeau and Evan Neal like that, that's nice.
It is. It makes things easy.
2nd place team in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys, who finished 12-5, 2nd in the NFC East, lost in the divisional round to San Francisco after beating Tampa and sending Tom Brady packing in the wild card round. Vegas win total was 10. Cleve said 11. Cleve was right. He took the over. He was there. So Cleve did get the Cowboys. Right. Now, this season, Pollard finally took over for Zeke.
Thank God.
Yes. And we saw that too. They franchise tag Pollard. Zeke is probably going to take a pay cut, or he's going to get cut. And they should. He should be the highest, 2nd highest paid fullback in football, in my opinion, behind Kyle Juszczyk. Dak got hurt early in the year, like in the 2nd game. Cooper Rush played well, went 4-1. Now, I went back through the Cowboys season this year because I remember the end of the season being so pessimistic, but they were 12-5 and won a playoff game.
Yeah.
So Dallas was 10-3 going to Jacksonville. They blew a 27-10 third quarter lead, and Dak threw a pick 6 in overtime. And after that, the vibes on the season were completely different.
Yes.
Dare I say a mentally weak franchise?
Yes, but I also think that stems from what they do on offense and the lack of confidence in what they're doing on offense. Now, is that a Kellen Moore thing? Is it a Dak thing? You know what I mean? Is it them understanding that if CeeDee Lamb gets shut down, we have nobody else?
Right.
There's a lot. They need help. They need help on offense.
Yeah, I think it's a Mike McCarthy thing, just because we've seen it from McCarthy in Green Bay as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see there. But yeah, they just fell apart after this. Like, everybody was screaming and yelling, and everybody was mad, and Dak can't take care of the ball. It's like, you guys are 10-4. You had one bad loss on the road. Every team's going to have that.
Yeah. 10-4. Like, no.
Yeah, and they just melted.
They did. They did. And it just you're right though. I mean, as well as they played, and even with the record, it surprises me looking at the record with the way I think about them, which is a team in a lot of trouble. They were 12-5.
Yeah. Yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
Ben with a good question here. He says, where's Zeke going if he gets cut? What's the market for him? Well, I think the Memphis Showboats are in need of a running back. So
Whole Foods market.
Zeke is not working at a Whole Foods. Have you seen Zeke? No. Zeke is not going to Whole Foods. There is zero chance. Zeke's going to get. Zeke's going to get the job at Jollibee's.
He shouldn't be paid the level to which he's paid, which is it's kind of like he's in the way.
What's the market for Zeke? I don't know. Did the Toronto Argonauts need a tight end?
A busted tight end? Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, somebody would sign Zeke, and they'd sign up for way too much money to fulfill like a very specific role on the team. Miami? No, they're too smart.
Yeah, and I don't think Zeke would run that outside zone stuff, that wide zone stuff that they like to run. I'm not sure he fits there, but there are places where he would fit.
Yeah,
Sure.
he's still, I think, a great running back.
Yeah,
within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage.
sure.
If you get down inside the 5, Zeke, I think, is as likely to punch in the end zone as anybody besides maybe Derek Henry.
Yes.
So he has a skill.
Yeah.
It's just not worth $16 million a year.
No.
Cap room, they have negative $10 million coming into the offseason. Draft capital, 26th overall, 3 in the top 100. Now, they tagged Pollard, which took this off the board for me, but I thought this was going to be a strong Bijan option.
Yeah. Yeah, and Pollard's really good. And the way I've kind of viewed the running backs thing is it's the most inefficient way is to overpay current aging running backs.
Mm-hmm.
The next least efficient way is to draft a running back early, and the most efficient way is to draft, somebody in round 3 or 4 and let them tote the rock for 3 or 4 years and move on.
Yep. That's the way to do it.
Dallas has chosen to go most inefficient, but I don't blame them. Pollard's a really good football player.
And Pollard has value too. If the wheels fall off for Dallas this year, they can move Pollard for some decent capital, I think, to a contending team. Could you imagine the Cowboys are like 3-7 or that's two. They're like 3-4 or 2-5, and they just ship Pollard to the Chiefs for like a first and a third.
Yeah, good luck.
That's the dream for them, right? So either he's an important part of a Super Bowl contending team, or he's a valuable trading piece this season to begin building again. How do they improve the wide receiver room? We touched on that a little bit earlier, but
they do have some intriguing players. I don't know what Cincinnati would give up. Like, what would Cincinnati give up for Tyron Smith right now? And I don't know how the money would work. But if you're Cincinnati and you're making a play for like Tyron Smith and Dalton Schultz, and maybe Dallas gives up their first round pick, would T. Higgins go back the other way?
No,
I don't think so.
No,
but outside of getting super creative with trying to find legit number 1, number 2, I don't know that that's there.
I think they're going to sign DJ Chark and try to draft somebody and call it a day, and it's not going to work.
It ain't going to work.
Not going to work.
No.
And so then that leads to my follow-up question: who will be their head coach in 2024?
I don't know,
because McCarthy's absolutely fired after this year.
Yeah.
So, we should be throughout the season constantly keep an eye out for these young coordinators who could possibly take over for the Cowboys.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah, that's pretty sharp.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's a pretty good call right there. Cowboys draft, first round, 24th overall pick, Tyler Smith out of Tulsa, smash. He was great.
Yes.
Second round, Sam Williams, linebacker, Ole Miss. I completely forgot he existed. So
yeah,
that seems like a bad sign. He might have been hurt. It's too early to unless somebody's really great or they've just been proven to be really terrible, which is hard after 1 year.
Yeah.
But second round pick, you kind of want to see him pop up at some point doing something right.
Bit. Flash here or there. Yeah. Jalen Tolbert, same thing. He didn't flash.
Jalen Tolbert sucks. I'm confident now to say I liked him as a prospect too, but he had a lot of red flags. 4-year player, small school, late breakout age.
Yeah.
Huge red flags, and then does not do anything in a situation where he's absolutely needed.
Yes. Literally nothing.
We are talking wide receiver Zach Wilson here. Right? Like the same red flags, but at the wide receiver position, and couldn't do anything. That's why I'm confident that it's not going to happen for him already. Now, of course, there's a chance that he's fine. He was dealing with a high ankle sprain. There's something like that. But all the red flags added up, and then he does not produce. It is getting late early.
Stuff stacked against him, that's for sure.
Yes. And that was a pick they could not afford to miss.
Yeah.
That had to hit for them. Fourth round, Jake Ferguson, tight end of Wisconsin. That was a hit.
Yeah.
He could play.
Yep.
Looking down the rest of this list, Jerron Bland, the corner in the 5th round, he's a player.
Yeah.
He's playing for them already.
Was Devin Clark hurt all year?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then John Ridgway, Devin Harper, who knows, but they're 5th and 6th round defensive players.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. So decent pick because Tyler Smith was great. And Jerron Bland in the 5th is a player. Jake Ferguson was a good hit, but missing on Tolbert. And then using your 2nd round pick on a linebacker who, as far as we know, hasn't done anything, but that could have been a wide receiver instead.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. And that means that the winner of the NFC East, your Super Bowl runner-ups.
Not a lot to talk about here.
No, the Philadelphia Eagles, 14-3, first in the NFC East, lost Super Bowl to the officials. I mean to Kansas City. Sorry, was that a little snarky?
No, you're good.
Vegas win total 9.5, Cleve 9. So while Cleve was blind in line with Vegas, both were wrong about the Eagles. 14 wins, smashed it. Steamrolled all season long. Slowed down a bit when Hurts was injured. Best team in the NFC by a mile. Cap room only $5 million. Draft capital 10th and 30th overall. 4 in the top 100.
Yeah, they should be able to retool.
Yeah, they really should. I mean, this team. I think the Eagles were the best team in the league last year.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, Chiefs are champions, and they're deserving champions, and they were a very good team. They're not some like 10-7 wild card got hot at the right time. The Chiefs are very deserving champions. They're excellent. But just top to bottom, whole thing, I think the Eagles were the best team, and I think they're set up to keep it up for a couple of years here.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when it drops off, it's really going to drop off because of how old they are up front on defense. You know, there are going to be some issues.
Well, you could note my second note here. They could use some youth on defense.
They could.
So we're in lockstep with that one. Yeah, Brandon Graham is 74, and Ndamukong Suh is 112.
Good.
They had some other like super old guy up front. They brought in off the street too, right?
Javon Hargrave? Was that one of them? No, you're right.
They signed Sue and another one at the same time.
It wasn't Geno Atkins, was it?
No. But it might as well have been.
Wonder who it was.
It's going to drive me crazy. But whoever it was, some old dusty defensive tackle. So they could, they do need to get younger on defense here quite a bit. And the other question is, how much money is Jalen Hurts about to make?
A ton.
Do you think he's waiting to see what Lamar gets and he's going to ask for more?
Yeah, I would think that would be the reasonable thing to it's the reasonable way to look at it.
Do you think Jalen Hurts should be paid more than Lamar Jackson?
I don't know. That's tough because the situations are so different. I don't think Baltimore's done Lamar Jackson any favors, both in just general tone and demeanor, and also the offensive structure.
Mm-hmm.
Like he ran a very pro style offense at Louisville, and now they put together what is not all that much. They've really they've really simplified things. And I think that in some ways that hurts what they do overall. It caps everything.
Lamar should be playing this like the same system that Josh Allen is playing. Pro offense, quarterback power, scramble when you need to.
Joseph Linval Joseph.
Yes, Linval Joseph. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I knew there was another just old dusty defensive tackle they brought in. Yep. Nobody tell Ndamukong Suh I called him Dusty, please.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't. One, I'm a fan, and two, I don't need that hassle.
No, you don't. Nobody does.
Yeah. So, for the Eagles, they're pretty well set up again for next year. They've got wide receivers and all that. So there's not too much to talk about with them going into next year. Their draft class, split across a couple screens here, first round, Jordan Davis, defensive tackle out of Georgia, just an absolute planet of a man. That was a good pick. He got hurt, but he's a good pick.
I thought Cam Jurgens was a really good pick too.
Yes, yeah.
Super athletic center.
And did he play guard for them and will take over for Kelsey? Is that the plan?
I think so, yes.
Yep. Nakobe Dean, did he play much this year?
I think he played a little. I know he had the shoulder injury that he did not get fixed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that became a problem and is something that still needs to be resolved.
Yeah.
But, small guy with some injury issues.
Kyron Johnson, linebacker out of Kansas. I've literally never heard of this person. That's
a fake name.
But that's a made up. That's a Madden Creative player. 6th round, 198 overall, though. They took Grant Calcaterra, tight end out of SMU, a transfer from Oklahoma, who I thought looked like Mark Andrews at Oklahoma, and I think will develop into a solid second tight end with Dallas Goedert.
I agree. Quickly, he will.
Yes. Very, very, next year.
Yes.
All right. So that's the NFC East. Moving on to the AFC East. Somehow, the 4th place team in the AFC East was the Jets.
Terrible.
I had to go back and look at how this happened. This is unbelievable. So the photo for the folks listening on the podcast, which thank you and hello. We are also a YouTube live stream. There's a link in the show notes. You can see my wonderful, very professional document that I create here. We have Sauce Gardner with the cheese head on after they won in Green Bay. That is a great picture.
It really is.
If I were like royalty, I might make this picture my sigil. This might become the emblem for my house. Just Sauce Gardner with the cheese head pointing at the crowd in Green Bay. Absolutely amazing. So the Jets go 7-10, 4th in the AFC East. Vegas win total was 5.5. Cleve said 7. He got his team exactly right.
He knew.
He did. He was right on it. So good job. Shout out to Cleve for getting that one exactly right. Now, the Jets were 7-4 and cruising to a playoff spot until they lost their last 6 in a row to finish 7-10.
Yeah.
JETS.
Yep, and lots of dysfunction and lots of this quarterback starting and then he's not, and this guy's hurt, and then he's not. No, yeah, lots of stuff.
I made 2 bets on this division last offseason. Bills to win, Patriots in 4th, 1 Dolphins then Jets, 1 Jets then Dolphins. I needed the Jets to win 1 game out of these last 6.
Just one.
Just one. I would have won the bet because the Patriots would have been last.
That's a bummer.
Absolute garbage.
Bad beat.
It is. But that's okay. You win some, you lose some. I did get Anthony Richardson 100-1 to be the first overall pick, so I'm hoping to win that one.
Yeah. Good luck.
That'd be decent. Okay, so they lose 6 in a row to finish 7-10. At quarterback this year, they started Joe Flacco, White Mike, and Zach Wilson.
It's a lot.
Somehow Joe Flacco was the best. That's not. White Mike was okay, but the point is Zach Wilson was the worst. Now, despite going 5-2, Wilson was clearly the worst of the 3. It is a confirmed draft bust. Scott, are you finally ready to just admit Zach Wilson is a bust?
Why do I have to admit he's a bust? It's early.
He's the number 2 overall pick. He had 3 other quarterbacks go behind him. Yeah. He's a bust.
I would say he's trending to be a bust. I mean, there's just still time, though.
He might not.
You don't think there's a Geno Smith resurrection at some point in his career?
No.
Okay.
For one, Geno Smith was taken the 35th overall pick, not the 2nd. In order to not be a bust, Zach Wilson would need to have like a Rich Gannon reemergence. You know what I mean?
Which is super unrealistic. Yeah. I'm with
yes. You. Right. So he is also a victim of where he was drafted. Yeah. But
I mean, as it currently stands, a total bust. Undeniable.
Yeah. Yeah. And Like, we'll see if he can get his head together and latch on somewhere else and try to do something. But I have a feeling we got a St. Louis Battlehawk on our hands.
We'll see.
Now, Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner each won Rookie of the Year, and Breece Hall was on track to win it until he tore his ACL in Week 6.
Yeah, it's amazing, like how well they did in the draft. It really is.
This team. So what's amazing is that in 2022, the Lions and the Jets smashed the draft.
Yeah.
It might be the end times.
What planet are we on?
Like, there are many clues that we aren't on Earth 1. Trump winning the election.
Earth 1.
Yeah, like Trump winning the election was a big clue that this is not the primary universe. But the Lions and the Jets both smashing the same draft has got to be up there.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the draft specifically coming up. But yeah, Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, both Rookie of the Year, phenomenal picks.
Yes.
And neither were the first player at their position drafted.
No, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Although Derek Stingley is still a really good prospect.
And Drake London is fantastic.
Yes.
So it's not even a knock on those players, although Sauce should have gone before Stingley. But you could make an argument that London should have gone before Wilson anyways, but still amazing. And they only have negative $2 million in cap room, so they could probably move some things around, make some changes, do something.
Yeah.
Offensive line, most likely.
Yep. There's things they can do.
Yep. Draft capital, 13th overall, 3 in the top 100. That 13th overall pick, though, I have an idea what's going to happen with that. What do they do to address the quarterback position? Rodgers, Lamar. That 13th overall pick, I think at this point, we should just think belongs to Green Bay.
Sure. That's fair.
I think Rodgers is showing up at the Jets.
Yeah, I do too.
Which, by the way, Cleve isn't here right now. Cleve needs an offseason. He's got like school and training and his job and all sorts of stuff to do. So that's why us draft dorks are going to carry us through for the next little bit here. But I think whenever it drops that Rodgers is going to the Jets, I'm going to tell Cleve he's got to come back for that episode because
yep.
that's gonna be absolutely bonkers. And I guess if they do go for Lamar, that too, I mean, that'd be pretty great.
Yeah. Yes, it would.
Yeah. If they have picks to trade for a QB, or if they have to trade picks for a quarterback like Rodgers or Lamar, how do they then improve their offensive line? Because they're going to have to pay those quarterbacks as well.
Yeah, they are. Good question.
Yeah, because they need some help. That's like the one area they need.
Yeah.
I
mean, they have. So Mekhi Becton's a big deal there. He needs to come back, right?
He is.
Elijah Vera Tucker was hurt last year. They need him. Who's their other tackle? Was it Dwayne Brown?
I think so. Oh man, don't quote me though.
I think it was Dwayne Brown, and they need him again, just to kind of keep things rolling, But Becton coming back is a huge deal for them,
and he needs to stay healthy.
Yeah.
At this point, it's a question mark, right?
Yeah, it is. Totally.
Because he keeps getting like the same injury over and over again. By the way, if you guys are watching, wonder what I'm doing, this is like what it looks like in real time. I just had the thought, I really think Rodgers is going to the Jets. So I'm going to bet the Jets to win the Super Bowl now before it happens.
What's the odds?
Well, I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling it up right now. But see, I think the real time to do it, though, was before the Derek Carr news.
Yeah.
So we'll see. There may not be a lot of value in this. Let me find them. They're currently 18-1, which is not the greatest. By contrast, the Chargers are 22-1. So now the Jets are favored over the Chargers.
Not huge numbers, no.
No. Still worth a little 5-ball though. So there we go. I get $100 if the Jets win the Super Bowl. And remember the rule, everybody listening and watching. if you decide to make that same bet and it loses and you complain to us that the bet lost, you have to fight Cleve. So don't do it.
I did not know about this rule.
Yes, it is not financial advice. Just because I do something doesn't mean you have to do it. If you want to, do it responsibly. It'll be fun. Sure. But don't complain if it doesn't hit. A lot of bets lose, and if you complain to us, you got to fight Cleve.
No, thank you.
That's why it's the rule. Now, to the Jets draft board. First pick, 4th overall, Sauce Gardner. The best corner of football already. Top 3. Yeah. Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander, Sauce Gardner. Yeah,
he was awesome.
Right? Yeah. Garrett Wilson, Rookie of the Year wide receiver, playing with Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson, and White Mike.
Yeah.
What's he going to do when Aaron Rodgers shows up?
He's going to go off.
Yeah.
They need to get something out of Jermaine Johnson. They got nothing out of Jermaine Johnson last year.
But he was always a project, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. And they took him at 26. There was talk he could go in the top 5.
Yep.
So that's the right time to take him.
Yeah.
Second round, 36th overall, Breece Hall, running back, Iowa State.
Stud.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
And notice they didn't blow.
Ruckert looked good at times.
Yeah. And notice they didn't blow a first round pick on Breece Hall either.
No, they did not.
No. Ruckert looked pretty good at tight end. Max Mitchell, Michael Clemens, I've never heard of. So, round, a couple 4th round picks. Did they have later picks that my document get cut off? It did not. But still, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. That would be good. 2 drafts.
Awesome. Yeah. Pretty awesome. Yeah.
If you did that in 2 years, you'd be ecstatic. So, in my mind, the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, they are set. They're ready to go. And anything short of the AFC title game for them, if they get Aaron Rodgers, I think is a failure of a season.
Yeah. Barring injuries, yes.
True. Yeah, which is an amazing thing to say in the AFC.
Yeah. Yep.
3rd place team in the AFC East.
Like it.
We have Chandler Jones.
Backwards pass, right?
Yes. We have Chandler Jones pushing Mac Jones into the center of the earth after the backwards pass to blow the game against the Raiders. Still one of the absolute best endings I've ever seen. Couldn't happen to a better franchise either.
Yeah.
They need stuff like they're owed a lot of stuff like that happening to them. The New England Patriots, 3rd in the AFC East, 8-9. Vegas win total was 8.5. Cleve said 6. So Cleve was under Vegas here, which was technically right because they went 8-9. But I think spiritually, Cleve was correct here as well.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. They beat the Jets in a 10-3 game on a walk-off punt return.
Yes.
They beat the Lions. Oh, I'll get to that. Yeah. So they were all over the place in 2022. They beat the Lions 29-0, but lost to the Bears 33-14.
Yeah. Good old Matt Patricia, baby.
Yep. Offense was unwatchable.
Offense.
Yep. Unwatchable. Matt Patricia and Joe Judge in charge.
Yep.
Who could have predicted that?
Yeah. Everybody.
Yes. Yeah. All 3 of us on this show predicted that, and we're not even taking credit for it because that was so easy to see coming. And then Mac Jones is still trying to climb out from the Earth's molten core because that is where he remains.
Yeah.
Cap room and draft capital. I forgot to put them in. Do I remember off the top of my head? Cap room was not horrendous. Draft capital was not spectacular.
Let me see if I can find it real fast.
Yeah. It was I cannot believe I forgot to write that down. Actually I can't believe I'm halfway through the league or 3/4 way through the league. It only happened once.
So they have pick 14 in round 1, pick 46 in round 2.
Yep.
Pick 76 in round 3. So 3 top 100 picks.
Okay. And really 3 top 75.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then they have 3 4th rounders after that. So they have some capital.
Yeah, and their cap room, I remember it wasn't like it might have been negative, but it wasn't insane. So they should have some room to make some moves with that. But the questions are, how do they improve the offensive coaching? They did hire Bill O'Brien. That should help. Especially compared to Matt Patricia. My goodness.
Yeah.
But my question here, Scott, is do they stick with Mac Jones or do they make a move here?
They have $32 million in cap space.
I
can see them making a move.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be, but
I have an idea.
Lamar?
Yep.
Yeah.
All these teams should be in for this.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not arguing.
Yeah. Second question. Will they ever get a good wide receiver?
It'll be a free agent. DeAndre Hopkins might be a good receiver there.
Aside from when they had Randy Moss, I think the Patriots' last great receiver was Irving Fryer.
People talk about the Patriots like they draft great all the time, and it's like, no, they really don't.
Not in the first round.
Well, and certain positions too. Like, they don't draft receivers well at all. They never have, like you're saying.
Yeah.
They have blind sites, just.
Yeah, it gets covered up by how well they draft tight end.
Sure.
And Julian Edelman, right?
It helps that you haven't needed to really have a quarterback for a bunch of years.
Yes. Yeah.
It hides a lot of problems.
But yes, Gronk, the greatest tight end of all time, you can get away with having bad wide receivers, and you got Gronk out there.
Yep.
Patriots draft. Round 1, pick 29, Cole Strange, guard out of Chattanooga. I remember the Rams making fun of the Patriots in real time when this pick took place.
Yeah.
But I thought Cole Strange played well this year.
He did. He was fine. Tyquan Thornton popped.
Yes, and then we're designing touches for him as well.
Yeah.
In and around the goal line. I think Thornton's got – I'm in on Thornton again this year, late round best ball. I like Tyquan Thornton. He's got a chance to sort of break that mold for them.
Yeah, yeah. Bailey Zappi obviously looks like a rock star clipboard holding backup for a while.
Yes, the Chase Daniel. But you missed somebody important. Round 3.
Oh yeah. I mean, Marcus Jones is good.
Marcus Jones is a smash 2-way player, punt returner. He returned the punt against the Jets for the win. He had that crazy pick 6 where he did like the one leg hop along the sideline for a touchdown. He's getting carries in the red zone. Marcus Jones is an absolute smash pick in the third.
Yes. In
the third round for them. I'm with you that Bailey Zappi is going to be a great backup for a long time and will probably be a backup in New England. What did you think about the Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris picks?
I mean, for what they do, they need bodies, so they're fine.
Yeah.
I like Pierre Strong.
And they're going to lose Damian Harris this year.
Yeah.
So they're going to have Ramondre Stevenson, Kevin Harris, Pierre Strong. I wouldn't be shocked if they draft somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, they are a team that loves to just chew through running backs. They just do.
Doesn't this just feel like a Roschon Johnson team?
Yes. It really does.
It really does just feel like Roschon Johnson out of Texas and the Patriots are just made for each other.
It's cute, and it's it's a little like, we're smarter than you go ahead and take Bijan, we'll take his backup and be better than you.
Yeah. He's a former quarterback. He's smart, great at pass protection, Yeah. Yeah, that just feels like it there. Sam Roberts, Chasen Hines. I don't know why I have Skylar Thompson in the 7th round for the Patriots. That is not true.
I thought he was a Dolphin.
He is a Dolphin. So that is a typo. So we'll see if I can whatever. Skylar Thompson plays for the Dolphins.
Yep. Moving on.
Yeah. So goodbye. Second place in the AFC East. The Miami Dolphins. Holy crap, going back through their season. So they go 9-8, finish second place. They lose the wild card round to Buffalo without Tua. Why didn't they have Tua? Scott, going back through this again was unreal how they did this poor kid. Like, I mean, he's 25 now. He's not really a kid, but whatever. I'm 40. They're all kids. Yeah. So the Vegas win total was 9. Cleve said 6. That was wrong. The Dolphins were actually better than a 9-win team with their quarterback.
Yeah.
Dolphins opened the season 3-0, and then Tua took an awful concussion against the Bengals. The NFL revamped their concussion protocol due to that concussion because it appeared on video that Tua was concussed the week prior against Buffalo.
And he was.
Yes, stumbling around. It looks pretty clear. So the league comes back and they're like, oh, we're going to redo this. We're going to tighten up these protocols. We're going to do all this and whatever, right? And remember, this injury against the Bengals was on Sunday Night Football. Absolutely terrible. Fencing on the field, throwing up the gang signs. Awful. The second worst injury to happen to Buffalo in this division, or in Cincinnati in this division. But at the time, like, people forget about how bad this Tua concussion was because of Damar Hamlin, which we'll get to. But this was terrible when it happened.
It was brutal.
Yep.
Tough to watch.
So the Dolphins lost their next 3 games with Teddy Bridgewater. Tua then came back, and then the Dolphins threw an 8-7 record. During the Green Bay game in Week 16 on Christmas Day, Tua got concussed against the Packers, but was allowed to stay in the game despite the revamped concussion protocols.
Doesn't seem like they were working.
Right. And this is what gets overlooked for this, because he finished this game. They lost this game because he threw 3 awful fourth quarter interceptions.
And they were.
But in hindsight, it's like, oh, because he's seeing quadruple.
Yes.
And he thinks he's on Earth 9.
Yes. You're throwing into quadruple coverage with nobody open. Yes.
Yes. And so they let him stay in the game. He doesn't finish, he's done for the rest of the year from there on out. Miami lost a close game to Buffalo in the wild card round. Miami was able to play in the wild card round because the Jets were in a must-win position against the Dolphins and lost 11-6 against Skylar Thompson.
Okay.
God,
I don't
fucking Jets.
That,
Cap room negative $18 million. That was coming into the offseason. I think they already cut Byron Jones. That's like $15 million right there.
Yep.
So I think the Dolphins are going to be able to create a lot of cap space if they want to. Draft capital. Their first round pick was forfeited. God. For tampering. They didn't even get what they were tampering for.
I know. It was a Tom Brady, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
God.
Never, don't sleep on these super rich, wealthy dudes who think they can get away with everything, trying to get away with everything.
Yeah, good. That's just a good life lesson. You should write that down, put on a bumper sticker. Kind of a long bumper sticker, I guess. We'll workshop it. So they still have 3 picks in the top 100, but I think they have like 4 picks overall.
Yeah.
Questions. When does Tua come back? What condition will he be in? Do the Dolphins take measures to protect themselves against another concussion?
You mean in the form of a better backup quarterback?
I have somebody in mind, actually.
Somebody in mind.
He won't like it. He'll think he should be a starter, but I think he's perfect for the situation.
Jacoby Brissett.
Not who I was thinking of, but not bad. Better than Brissett, though.
I don't know.
Jimmy G.
Perfect.
I think Jimmy G should take like top 3 backup money, go to Miami, and realize that they're a good team and his chances of playing. It's like the San Francisco thing all over again. He's worked with McDaniel before. It's like the same situation. When this quarterback gets injured, because if he takes another concussion, he's out for what, 5-6 weeks now?
Honestly, if he takes another bad one, it could be one of those I'm done kind of deals.
Right. And so I think this is a perfect spot for Jimmy G to go play on a good team, have a chance to make it, to the Super Bowl run, that sort of thing. And it's worth it for Miami to overpay to have such a high quality backup quarterback.
Yeah.
My last question for them: do they draft Jahmyr Gibbs in the 2nd round, please?
It would be such a fascinating landing spot.
It would.
Yeah.
They don't have enough draft picks to waste one on a running back, but come on. Oh,
I don't know, man. He would be a huge part of their offense.
He would.
He really would.
He'd be fantastic as a Dolphin.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would.
And I'd love to see it. Dolphins draft last year, they only had 4 picks. 3rd round, Channing Tindall, linebacker, Georgia. Didn't do anything as far as I know.
Yeah.
4th round, Eric Ezukanma, wide receiver, Texas Tech. Bust.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then 2 7th-round picks, Cameron Good, linebacker, California, and then Skylar Thompson, quarterback, Kansas State, outplayed his 7th-round draft slot, but not
by much, but he did.
He's not good.
No.
But
he's young. I mean, he's got to figure it out, but
yes,
for a 7th-rounder in a system that's probably not great for his particular strengths, he's fine. He did fine.
But Skylar Thompson is the quintessential, like, why aren't you currently the quarterback of the, like, Arlington Renegades? Like, just go play spring ball, get more reps, and come back.
Yeah.
You know, that's who should be the quarterback of some of these XFL teams. Not Louis Perez again. But XFL has actually not been bad.
No.
Some of the rule changes are good. It's been fine. Like, it's not the world's best football, but it's not terrible.
No. It's football when we don't have football. It's fine.
Exactly. And that means that the winning team in the AFC East is the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, moving on.
Scott's looking at the photo here. I've got I've got a scientific description of how cloning works, because apparently the Damar Hamlin now is a clone. The real Damar Hamlin unfortunately passed away because his heart was weak from the COVID vaccine. And he's been cloned by the NFL and Bill Gates and Joe Biden, so nobody catches on to how bad the vaccine is. So
it's a little much.
Well, listen, CPAC was this last weekend, top of mind. So, yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
With a smile on my face and anger in my heart. All right.
Nice. It's not a way to go through life.
No. Oh my God, I did it again. I forgot to write theirs down too. Quick, can you look up their cap room and draft capital while I talk here? Yes. So, jeez, Dave, come on. The Bills go 13-3, first in the AFC East, lost in the divisional round to the Bengals at home, 27-10. Got smashed in the playoffs. Now, Cleve did an amazing job here. Vegas win total was 11.5. He said 14, and it came in at 13.
That is really well done.
That is fantastically well done. So started the season looking like one of the 2 best teams in the league, along with the Eagles, opened up 6-1. Josh Allen hurt his elbow mid-year and was clearly never 100% again, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, in Week 17 at Cincinnati, safety Lamar Hamlin suffered a life-threatening injury and almost died on the field. And I know they came back the next week, opening kickoff, Nyheim Hines for a touchdown, and it was emotional and great. This is just my opinion. I don't think this team ever got over the Damar Hamlin injury fully.
I don't think they did either. It was just too much.
It was too much, too close to the playoffs. Right. I think this happened in Week 4. They could do a full rally. The whole season's for him. He's getting way, way better as we get closer to the playoffs. I just think that, did he, die clinically on the field? It was close, right? Because they were doing CPR and stuff.
I don't know exactly whether he did or didn't, but it was, it took him a long time, and they had to intubate him on the field. So,
yes.
I mean, there was, yeah.
There's not, if we're doing this show and you collapse and have to be intubated on camera, next week's show is not going to be that great.
No.
It's going to be a little rough.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so, I think Buffalo in general is much better than they showed this year.
Yeah. Between
Allen's injury and this, just it was a real tragedy. I mean, thank goodness he survived.
Yeah. Yeah.
But seeing a teammate damn near die on the field is a tragedy.
Oh, it's yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine. Cap space. They are 19 million over the cap.
Okay.
They have a pick in round 1 and round 2 and round 3. So they had 3 in the top 100.
Okay. So pretty standard for them there.
Yeah.
Only question I have for the Bills, I think it's the only question I have for the Bills. No, I have two questions. What do they do about their wide receiver room?
So they drafted a player from Boise State last year named Khalil Shakir, and he is a very good player. Now, if your room is Diggs and Gabriel Davis and Shakir, and find a legit slot receiver, which is one of the reasons I think why they brought Beasley back late in the season. There's a lot of little slot receivers in this draft, so I think they can make that happen as long as Davis plays. Davis just didn't do much last year.
High ankle sprain, I think. I think he was hurt most of the year.
Yeah, but in the end, I think he's a better best ball option than like super consistent player as an NFL player. And they need a receiver who is consistent. Shakir could be that. Shakir's a good player. They need help.
So I was thinking about this too. I have another because Shakir, I think, is a really good prospect. It is a 5th round pick, should take a year or two to kind of get going. And he could be coming into that right now.
Yeah.
What about playing Davis and Shakir outside and moving Diggs into the slot?
Perfect. Because he's uncoverable there. I don't know how anybody's can cover him there. Yes.
Yeah.
Just kind of stuff that you would have to do.
Yeah, because Davis and Shakir can threaten downfield.
Yep.
And so you could just have Diggs running shorter, stop routes, whatever. And then boom, switching on them real quick, flip them outside and let them go sometimes. That's
all that stuff I think works. I think that works well. Yeah.
The other thing they could do too, because you mentioned the slot receivers, I wouldn't be shocked if they were like, we just need more offense, and they targeted Smith and Jigba.
I think they will. I just don't know that they're going to be able to get to him. They'd obviously have to trade up.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Trey Flower or Trey, the dude from Boston College.
Zay Flowers.
I think he might fit.
Yeah, he's interesting. I was just so underwhelmed by so many of the receivers at the combine. I'm having trouble like getting hyped for them.
Yeah.
But to me, like if you don't get Smith and Jigba, you're better off taking somebody in the 3rd round and using your 1st round pick on somebody else.
Yes, I agree.
Because they do need to get younger on defense. Same problem that the Eagles have.
Yep,
so,
they do.
Yep, so they need to get younger on defense as well. Their draft class, 23rd overall pick, Kaiir Elam. What'd you think?
He was okay.
Yeah, just okay.
Yeah.
Could get better.
Yeah.
Floor could fall out.
You would hope he gets better.
Yeah. James Cook
was good.
Good. To me, critically underutilized.
Yes.
Like they finally realized in the playoffs that he's better than Devin Singletary.
Yes.
But Singletary's a free agent. Don't think he comes back. They're not just going to roll with Cook into next year. One of these running backs is going on this team.
Yeah.
Perfect compliment to James Cook, Zach Charbonnet.
Without a doubt. Yes.
Yeah.
And perfect for that city and that team. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. He'd be great there. Terrell Bernard, linebacker to Baylor, nothing, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Khalil Shakir, 5th round pick out of I don't know why it says Buffalo. I know he went to Boise State. Yeah, I thought he should have gone higher in the draft. I thought he was a steal for them there, and he's going to work out.
Yep, I think so.
6th round pick that took Matt Arieza, the punter out of San Diego State, who was quickly run out of the league when he was charged with awful, horrible crimes.
He had a rough entrance to the NFL.
Which I believe the charges have either been dropped or he was cleared or some way it's over.
I read that.
So he may be coming back in some capacity. Because whatever it was, he was not convicted.
Yeah.
Christian Benford, cornerback from Villanova, that was a hit.
Yep.
Yeah, he's playing a lot. Luke Tenuta, tackle from Virginia Tech. I feel like he got in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I remember seeing him in a little bit. And then Balin Spector, linebacker from Clemson. Whatever. Yeah. So not the best draft class that they could have had. But Cook and Shakir and Benford are all very useful pieces.
Yeah.
But if they
Elam pans out,
yeah,
it's a good class.
If they repeat this class though this year, they're going to get in trouble quickly.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they need one of their first 2-round picks to not be a running back and to hit.
Yes.
No matter what, it could be a guard, right?
Yeah.
They could take John Michael Schmitz, the center from Minnesota, but they gotta smash something this year.
Yep.
Or else, because they have to pay Josh Allen so much money.
Yes.
Diggs is getting older.
Getting older. They don't have a lot of weapons outside Diggs. Yeah.
Yeah, their window will close quickly if they have 2 back-to-back lackluster classes.
Yes. Agreed.
Okay. So that's the AFC East. Next week we'll be back, most likely doing the Western divisions. However, free agency will start, or there'll be a lot of the legal tampering period will start by then.
Yeah.
So if we are inundated with free agency news, we might split the Western divisions, push the Western divisions, right?
We'll play it by ear.
Yeah, so we'll see what's happening there with all the crazy free agency stuff coming out by then next week. Scott, do you have any final words before we go?
I'm good.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you. For those of you watching us live, joining us in the chat, thank you so much. Makes the show that much better. If you're listening to the podcast, again, thank you very much. We are also a YouTube live stream. There's a link in the show notes. No matter where you're listening, the link is in the show notes. You can like and subscribe to the YouTube, get notified of when we're going live. We'd love to have more people coming in. The more people in the chat, the better. Really get it going. Again, we're part of the Matty Ice Media Network. Go to mattyicemedia.com. Discover all the other great podcasts. Also, political football merch. Want to get a t-shirt, want to get a hoodie. We got stuff. There on the site. That's it for us this week. We'll be back next Tuesday to either discuss free agency or the Western divisions or both. See you then. Peace.
See you guys.